In tonight's headlines, the clock is ticking for more than 600 people feared trapped under the rubble in the aftermath of a massive earthquake which struck Taiwan 2 days ago. Rail operator MTR comes under scanner once again as technical glitches cause service delays. And US President Joe Biden gives Israel an ultimatum to stop the humanitarian suffering in the Gaza Strip.
Two days after Taiwan was shaken by a 7.2 magnitude earthquake in the eastern coast near Hualien County, the death toll has risen to at least 12. Search is still underway for 16 people. More than 1,000 people were injured, and slightly over 680 others remained stranded. Most of them were visitors to the Taroko National Park in a mountainous area in Hualien. At least 82 people, including 4 Hong Kongers, have been taken to safety. At a hiking trail in the park, search and rescue operation for a family of 5 and a woman was relatively challenging, as rocks and debris continued to rain down the road due to aftershocks.
The
leader of the rescue team revealed that they found 2 dead bodies at the scene, and the deceased were suspected to be the father and eldest daughter of the family. He added that boulders fell on top of the duo. Search operation was halted temporarily in the afternoon due to rain and aftershocks. Demolition work has kicked off at the 10-story Uranus building that has taken the life of a resident when it partially collapsed on Wednesday. Earlier, a ceremony was held to pay tribute to the victim. Hualien County Magistrate Xu Chenwei revealed that it would take 2 weeks to take down the structure. She noted that many residents wish to retrieve their personal items, saying that it could be made possible if safety permits. Janice Low, Cable News.
MTR's Operations and Innovation Director Tony Lee says the MTR is taking different measures to solve the arising problems. This response came after a signal fault was detected at Yamate Station this morning, leading to delays on the Kuntong line, as well as a mechanical defect near Tsim Sha Tsui Station, causing service disruptions on the Tsuen Wan line yesterday. Last June, the rail operator announced that it will input more than $65 billion into railway asset maintenance and renewal in the next 5 years, as well as accelerating the use of innovation and technology to enhance the current railway assets. With delayed services on 2 consecutive days, lawmaker Michael Tian asked why the MTR did not conduct more frequent inspections and make good use of their money on hand to bring in more advanced technologies to their assets to prevent such problems from arising. Lee said they are already doing their best.
There is difficulty mainly because of the condition of the tracks and how frequently we use our train tracks. Of course, we want to conduct such inspection every night, but there is difficulty because we only have the 2-hour golden period every night. As mentioned, we will make use of the real-time data we got to see how we can, with limited time and limited resources, we can improve our tracks. Yesterday, our staff dismantled the parts. We will fully analyze the data to see how we can prevent such incidents from happening again.
Janice Yu, Cable News.
The Sevens has kicked off at the Hong Kong Stadium today for the 30th and final time before moving to a new home at Kai Tak Sports Park in 2025. 3 lawmakers, Kenneth Fok, Yu Pek Leung, and Vincent Chang, took the chance to suggest the government to boost sports tourism. They believe this could be achieved by turning the Greater Bay Area into a center for sports tourism. Their suggestion came as the trio pointed out that the consumption habits of travelers worldwide have switched to experiences instead of shopping after the pandemic. With Hong Kong set to co-host the National Games with Guangdong and Macau next year, Fox suggested the administration to set up a connectivity system within the area in a bid to smoothen the arrangement of events organization in the future.
After the successful hosting of the All China Games, we hope this coordination committee or the coordination mechanism will still be in place so that we can take advantage of Hong Kong within the Greater Bay Area and really together with Guangdong to bring in or also develop more GBA concept events, whether it's bidding for international events or even setting up or growing local IPs within the Greater Bay Area.
The district court today convicted one person for rioting in Yuen Long during the 2019 social unrest. Jackie Ho was alleged of participating in the incident by throwing items towards members of another group. Handing down the verdict, Judge Clement Lee pointed out that even though Ho claimed self-defense, his actions were violent as he teamed up with one group to attack another. His actions were no different as he participated in a similar crime, Lee added. Ho is remanded in custody until sentencing next Wednesday.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who is on a week-long trip to China, met with Vice Premier He Lifeng in Guangzhou. The senior officials urged for a healthy Sino-U.S. relationship which could be beneficial to both countries. This is the first high-level meeting since President Xi Jinping met with his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden in San Francisco last November. Earlier today, Yellen held talks with Wang Weizhong, the governor of Guangdong province. The discussions in the mainland's industrial hub mostly centered around the global manufacturing activity, which is dominated by China.
The ties between China and the rest of the world, including the United States, are easily apparent here, and this makes it a fitting place for me to visit this week on my second trip to China as Treasury Secretary. At the same time, I've also emphasized that building a healthy economic relationship requires a level playing field for American workers and firms and open and direct communication on areas where we disagree. And this includes the issue of China's industrial overcapacity, which the United States and other countries are concerned can cause global spillovers.
Before talks with Governor Wang, Yellen attended an event with international business leaders, which was arranged by the American Chamber of Commerce. Yellen is scheduled to meet with other senior Chinese officials when she heads to Beijing. U.S. President Joe Biden has given Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu an ultimatum that Washington's policy on Israel's war with Hamas could change unless it does more to protect the lives of civilians and aid workers in the Gaza Strip. In a high-stakes phone call following the deaths of 7 aid workers in an Israeli airstrike earlier this week, Netanyahu was urged by his staunchest ally in the war so far to implement a series of specific measures to address the humanitarian suffering.
On that phone call, the president emphasized that the strikes on humanitarian workers and the overall humanitarian situation in Gaza are unacceptable. He made clear the need for Israel to announce and to implement a series of specific, concrete, and measurable steps to address civilian harm, humanitarian suffering, and the safety of aid workers. He made clear that U.S. policy with respect to Gaza will be determined by our assessment of Israel's immediate action on these steps.
Biden underscored that an immediate ceasefire is essential to stabilize and improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza, and also urged Netanyahu to conclude a deal to bring the hostages held by Hamas back home. In a prompt response, Israel has approved the reopening of a crossing to northern Gaza, which was closed after the Hamas attacks 6 months ago. The Security Cabinet also approved using the Israeli port of Ashdod to help transfer aid to Gaza. Sachin Katwi, Cable News.
Hong Kong stocks ended flat after investors returned from a midweek break and waited for key U.S. jobs data to be released later in the day to look for clues in the U.S. rate outlook. The Hang Seng Index opened up 62 points and rose more than 100 points before dropping as much as 244 points. The benchmark managed to claw back early losses at last and ended flat for the day, dropping 1 point. Trading was thin, with turnover stood at $73.6 billion. It was a shortened week for Hong Kong stocks with only 3 trading days, and the benchmark rose 182 points for the week. A survey showed that the business environment in Hong Kong improved slightly in March, although the improvement is not significant. The S&P Global Hong Kong Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, rose to 50.9 in March from February's 4-month low of 49.7, returning to the expansionary level for the first time this year and reversed the downtrend of the previous 2 months. A reading above 50 denotes growth in the private sector, while a reading below 50 signals contraction. New orders increased for the first time this year and also recorded the second increase in 9 months, with the construction sector posting the largest rise. However, due to the lower demand from travelers and a slowdown in the external environment, the volume of new business from overseas and the mainland continued to shrink and at a steeper pace. Spurred by the increase in new orders, the employment component recorded the fastest increase in 11 months.